Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Irish Guys podcast. Yeah, it's the morning after the Super Bowl. He's done it again. Brady has done it again. So last night I just wanted to give my thoughts on what happened last night. It was like, the build to this game was massive. It was obviously the up and coming superstar in Patrick Mahomes and the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs versus Tom Brady again. Yeah, there was a lot of hype going into this game, and it didn't really live up to the bill in a way. The Kansas City Chiefs toiled a little bit and never really got going. It didn't build up to the promise that we hoped for going into the game. But yeah, I was just going to give my thoughts on it. Maybe Vesti will do something later in the week, or maybe he'll have something out for me, and he'll give his thoughts on what happened last night. But yeah, it was a weird game. The game started off anyway. It was a little bit cagey, I thought, from both teams. Both teams started slow, slowly built themselves into the game. There was a couple of quick outs for, in fairness, the Chiefs actually started the better. They seemed to be moving the ball a lot easier. The Bucks had a couple of 3 and outs, couple of quick, drives that ended quickly. But that was really as good as it got for the Chiefs, in that sort of opening quarter. The game was dominated then and controlled entirely by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you could give MVP, Super Bowl MVP to a non-player, I think you might give it to Todd Bowles for the way he drew up his defense and the scheme and the game plan that they laid out there to stop this juggernaut of a Kansas City team. Mahomes was under pressure all night. There's a couple of factors really. I've got a few points made that it all sort of links in. Things that Tampa's offense did well, things that Tampa's defense did well, and the lack of things that Kansas did well, to be fair, that sort of all contributed until the way the game went. Todd Bowles, when you with this Tampa Bay defense, as I said, we've said many times in the podcast that the front seven was top drawer this year. Really, really was top drawer. We've said multiple times that it had that little blip in the middle part of the season, and that's when these two teams played in sort of middle, third of the regular season. Kansas threw a party on them in the first quarter and won that game easily, even though it was closer. It ended up 27-24, I think. But they were pretty comfortable the entire way through, I thought. But last night was a completely different story. The front seven was good again. Kansas City's offense had issues on the offensive line. They had injuries. Obviously, Schwartz and Fisher went down. People were moving about the offensive line all over the place. They were trying to patch the O-line up. And Tampa Bay's front seven is one of the best in the league, and they really showed it last night. There was guys there that have maybe been sort of forgotten about and written off a little bit of more recent, dominant players in their time in JPP and Ndamukong Suh, who played well last night. Vita Vea played well, but Shaq Barrett's been an absolute terror as far as this playoffs has gone and that sort of finished part of the season. Shaq Barrett was fantastic. Again last night, he was fantastic. The two linebackers, Devin White, LSU McGay, he went out there and balled out again. He had 12 tackles last night and an interception. So the front seven really did go out there and get pressure on Patrick Mahomes and making him uncomfortable. I seen a stat there earlier that Pat actually covered 497 yards around the field last night. He was running for his life. The offensive line was offering no protection. Shaq Barrett off the edge was far too fast. the people that had been moved about a bit. Now I've forgotten the name, but he was moved from right guard to right tackle to left tackle. And guards are guards for a reason. They're in there because they're you have to be a little bit fleet of foot. You have to be you have to be able to react quicker and move better on the end of the line because you're playing against quicker players. Mahomes was running for his life. To be fair, Tampa played like a simple type of. It was the old sort of cover two Tampa 2 coverage. They played deep. They had help and their safeties were very, very deep. They weren't going to give anything deep up till the likes of Tyreek Hill there or Mecole Hardman deep down the field. That was obviously their game plan. They were doubling Tyreek and Kelce early and often. In the first half of the game, you've seen a lot of Patrick Mahomes scrambling because everything was covered, pressure was coming, he had to get out of there, and his mobility and probably that little injury he's been playing with, as the game wore on, the more he got hit, pressured and having to make plays, his mobility sort of slowed a little bit in the second half, and the runs weren't there for him anymore. But all credit to the Buccaneers defense. They did an incredibly good job. Again, it's all a circle. It's all cyclical. It's all a circle. Kansas weren't putting up points. They moved the ball well a wee bit early and then didn't really take advantage of conversions or big chances. And then once the Buccaneers offense got out to a lead and got out there, you knew that Kansas were going to have to start throwing the ball. Mahomes was going to have to start slinging it. And because they were playing this deep cover 2 with doubling and likes of Tyreek Hill and stuff, the front seven could sort of pin their ears back and go after Pat. They knew that they didn't have to worry about the run. They were just trying to get to the quarterback because they knew he was going to be back there, with the ball in his hands. So it was just a perfect storm really. Kansas couldn't get anything going. They did a great job in Tyreek Hill. I felt like, when I looked at the stat line at the end of the game, Kelce did have 10 catches for 133 yards, but I felt that he was the one that could have maybe even got more work. They were playing this deep, this deep cover 2, and that's where you can exploit the middle of the field a little bit. And Travis Kelce's one of the best tight ends in the league, if not the best at the current time. So I thought they could have even exploited that a little bit more. But Lavonte David and as I said, Devin White did a great job in there. They're very fast at linebacker. A great linebacking pair combo there, probably one of the very best in the league. And they did a good job in there too. They were leaving their safeties deep, so you were having Kelce on linebackers and stuff a good part of the time, but they weren't giving up nothing deep to them, and Kansas were really having to work for their yards. Mahomes was scrambling, getting out of the pocket, converting on first downs as best he could, but Tampa's defense just asserted themselves in that game, exceptionally well. They did a great job. Tall Bowles drew up a great scheme, and Kansas couldn't do it. Kansas really, really struggled. The game was probably won and lost on the offensive line and defensive line. That battle between Kansas's offensive line and Tampa's defensive line and their backers. That's probably where the game was won and lost. If Mahomes had a little bit more time in there, and his full complement of O-linemen in there, it could have been a different game. But he was running for his life. He had less time to throw. He obviously wasn't as mobile, and they just really, really struggled. One thing I sort of thought about with Kansas's offense a little bit as well was I felt that they were lacking patience a little bit. I thought that in the AFC Championship game against the Bills, they showed fantastic patience. Mahomes was taking what the defense was giving him and working it down the field. Now you have to give credit, obviously, again back to the Buccaneers defense of rushing him and not allowing him to be patient and stuff like that. But they were patient at moving the ball down the field against the Bills, and I felt like they were forcing it a little bit. they were definitely fortunate. They came out and changed the game plan a little bit in the start of the second half. You started seeing a little bit more of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The run game has definitely died off a good bit, but you still need to be able. You can't just drop back 50 times for a pass. You do need to find balance. You do need that run balance, even if it's not necessarily a run, but like a quick out or a screen pass or something along those lines, little shovels or something like that there. I know shovel is a run, but at the same time, you need to mix it, even if it's not just a direct run it into the back of your offensive line. You need to be able to mix it up and change it up a little bit. Jet sweeps and stuff like that too, just to keep defenses honest. Them two safeties were sitting back there all day with no threat of a run coming from Kansas. Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually did make a couple of big plays, did make a couple of big runs and looked okay, but I felt that there was a lack of patience from the Kansas offense. They felt like they were forcing it a little bit to me, and they just weren't in rhythm. Kansas' whole team really wasn't in rhythm the whole night. I felt like they were very, very out of rhythm, both offensively and defensively, and on fucking special teams as well, because that punter was having a horrific time of it in the first half. Honestly, it just felt like a perfect storm. It just felt like everything that Kansas was doing, there was little bits of things going wrong. After that first quarter, everything started to come apart a little bit. They weren't ticking on offense. It wasn't the Kansas offense that everybody knows. Their defense didn't show up really. You think of your big playmakers. Now, I know Honey Badger got his hands on a ball, but you think of the likes of Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Honey Badger, Breland, boys that have made plays for them this year, and they weren't anywhere to be seen really, other than Honey Badger, who did get his hands on a ball and it got called back. But look, it felt weird for Kansas. Like, as I said, even on special teams, it felt odd. They felt out of sync or out of shape or something, and just they didn't turn up. But again, you still have to give some credit and back to Tampa Bay for that, too. You can't just say a team didn't show up. I felt like they didn't a little bit, but at the same time, you have to credit Tampa Bay for pouncing on them and not allowing them to be themselves. What else? Yeah, Tyreek nullified punters. The Bucs offense then. The Bucs offense, on the complete other hand, felt balanced. They were making the right plays at the right times. They ran it when they had to run it. Kansas' defense came out and looked like Spagnuolo had doubled Evans and Godwin a little bit. Now, they sent a lot of pressure after Brady in that first game. The pressure really didn't get... Now, the pressure got home on Brady a few times early on, but after that, there was no massive pressure on Brady. It looked like he had all the time in the world back there. And it looked like they tried to double at least a little bit Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And the Bucs offense was really well balanced. They were doubling the main weapons and they took them away. So Brady, doing what Brady does, went elsewhere. He took what the defense gave him and hit Gronk early for 2 touchdowns. Me and Clive did the Skype call last week. One of the points that we brought up is that this, Bucs team is very inexperienced as far as going to the Super Bowl. Brady, we said on the Skype call, Brady's the only guy that's been to a Super Bowl there. We forgot about Gronk, and that shows you how sort of semi-irrelevant Gronk has been this entire season. But he's been there. We said it as a negative, the Tampa Bay haven't really got anybody that's there. Nobody's been there before. The Pats were, or not the Pats. Apologies. The Chiefs were there last year. Everybody was there last year. They know what it's like to be there. Even though Brady's been there 10 times, the Bucs team hasn't. And we completely forgot about Gronk. But Gronk's been forgettable all year. And, you could see that Brady trusted him. The guy that has been pretty irrelevant all year, but was a guy that had been there before, came up big, came up massive for them. Had a really good game, led the team in receptions, which is nuts because he's been fairly poor all year. he also went to AB. He went to Antonio Brown a lot. He was second in the team in receptions with 5 receptions. They caught all 3 of the touchdown passes. 2 for Gronk, 1 for Antonio Brown. And they're 2 guys that Brady went and got and recruited to go to Tampa Bay. So, the Bucs offense was really good. Leonard Fournette, who's had a, nearly looked like a Hall of Fame running back coming out of LSU, went to Jacksonville, looked poor, then had like a couple of good seasons here and there, and then was released as now a Super Bowl champion. He played exceptionally well throughout the playoffs, and then well again last night. Brady does like a good, solid power running back, and he got one in Leonard Fournette last night. Leonard Fournette turned up, played a really good game. Rojo was the definitely the guy as far as that when the season started. But as the season went on, Leonard Fournette, I know that Rojo had injuries, but as the season went on, Leonard Fournette really came to the fore. Had a great game again last night. I think he had 4 catches as well, which is not really his forte. And the Bucs offense looked balanced and calm, cool, collected, taking what they were given. As I said, the offensive line of Tampa Bay played a good game too. Brady got hit early, but after that, it didn't look like Kansas were going to generate any sort of pressure on them at all. And the Bucs offense just was really well balanced. They looked calm and in control the entire game the whole way through, compared to the Chiefs, who just looked erratic. And fair play to all them men on the Bucs offense. As I said, men like Gronk and AB, one retired, one's been through the ringer. They had the biggest games. Leonard Fournette, who's also been through the ringer a bit as far as his NFL careers went, had a great game. And Brady. That man, he was efficient last night. 21 of 29 for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. He already said that he's going to be back next year. And would you blame him? The man's, he's something else. He's something else. Not the biggest arm in the world, not the most athletic guy, but his game and his intelligence. We've definitely said I think I actually said in one of these videos that I've done recently and stuff, the best thing about Brady is he knows exactly what a game needs. You think of the Super Bowl they played a couple of years ago against the Rams, and how much of a tight defensive game it was. And even, other quarterbacks, like this goes back to the point that I made a little bit on the Kansas City Chiefs. They felt like they were forcing it a bit last night. I felt like they were trying to force it a little bit last night, and then by forcing it, got themselves out of rhythm, and then, the game didn't go their way. But Brady, like 2 years ago against the Rams, that game was a slog for the most part. It was a strong defensive battle. No offenses were getting anywhere, and Brady was the one that was just calm, cool, and collected. And in the fourth quarter, when there was plays to be made, he didn't beat himself. That's another thing I'm going to get on to talking about in a little minute. But he didn't beat himself, and he didn't do that again last night. He knew that he didn't have to have a fantastic game last night. They were playing well. They were slowing Mahomes down, and he was. There was a couple of plays that he threw away or got rid of them. Even plays at the back of the end zone and stuff too. And he knows what he doesn't beat himself. Brady doesn't make too many mistakes. He's so experienced. He's so intelligent. He now has 20 years of experience in the league. So everything that you thought, it's no coincidence that it looks like he's nearly getting better. Like in the youngest part of his career. In the first sort of 10 odd years or whatever, he won 3 and lost 2 Super Bowls. And, in this later part of his career, as he's got older, he's won 4, lost 1. He's gained experience. He knows what a game needs. It wasn't like the comeback kid of early Tom Brady career. It was, now he just knows, he's got a great feel for the game, He knows, there's some games where he mightn't even score a touchdown. Like in that Rams Super Bowl, I don't think he actually scored a touchdown. I don't think he threw for a touchdown. So he's fine with it. He's fine with not being the star of the show. He's fine with just knowing what a game needs. And like as I said, it's no coincidence. He's now got 20 years of experience under his belt, and he was an intelligent quarterback anyway. And now with the amount of experience that he has, it's no shock that he looks like he's getting better at 40 fucking 3. The arm's holding up. He's playing in a Bruce Arians system that requires you to throw the ball down the field. He's done that all season and being one. I think they were the best team on deep balls down the field this season. And as I said, he just eased his way into the game, bit of a slow start, and just kept ticking away. Big play, obviously, at the end of the first half, because he likes to do that. He likes to take a shot at the end of the first half. You're nearly playing with house money there. Took another shot, big pass interference. And he was just, the game was still tight. It was still in the balance. It was 14-3. It's not too far away. This is Kansas we're talking about. They can get back into games like that, and it was just a slow ramp of the pressure. They were just slowly ramping the pressure up, and now they're up 21, and it all built into the thing, and as the pressure was ramped up by Brady just ticking away and ticking over, the defense then could pin their ears back and go after Mahomes, and the Chiefs just became more erratic, and Brady was just calm, cool and collected. Got a little bit feisty too. There was the stuff with the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, and Brady was he was the coolest man on either roster. He was just there, ticking over, slowly ramping the pressure up. They were down 1 score, now they're down a couple of scores, and now they're down 3 scores. And now Kansas are having to force the issue a bit. And he knew that the way his defense was playing, that they could cause more problems. And he did his bit. He just kept the pressure, just a slow momentum and build of pressure. And, he played a great game. As I said, 21 of 29, efficient as fuck. Only 201 yards, but 3 touchdowns. That little route by Antonio Brown for the touchdown, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic route. That's how you know Antonio's a lunatic, but at the same time, that's how you know how good he is. He made space and made time without barely moving. It was a 1 yard route. 1 yard. This way, that way, back this way, catch the ball, touchdown. Fantastic. Game slows down for a player like that, and, just makes it look easy. A game that's played at 100 mile an hour and you find just time enough to do that and, not really move off the spot. Unbelievable. So what now for Brady? 7th Super Bowl ring. Confirmed as the GOAT. Not like he wasn't already. And he's back next year. He's back again. And he'll be back next year with the same hunger, the same aggression, the same passion that he always has to have another go at it. And the team looks good, there is some players that have, JPP's getting older and Sue getting older, but there'll probably be a little bit of changes in there. Apparently Drew Brees is coming back now, so the Saints to look forward to again next year. But a few good players in that team. Keeping Shaq Barrett and stuff like that there would be, big. He had a great postseason. Devin White looks fantastic. Levante David, it's a good combination. Antoine Winfield Jr. I was hoping that maybe the Vikings could pick him up in the draft last year. Made a big play last night. And, he's only going to get better, rookie. So, yeah, the Bucs will be back next year. Brady's got 7 rings. He'll be back to try and do it again for number 8, which is insane. The drive and the motivation and the focus that man has is second to none. He's right there with the likes of prime Tiger Woods and Roger Federer and Michael Jordan and all them type of people. This run will be extra special. It's the move, everything, it'll just all be piled on now. Move to Tampa Bay, no off season, no preseason, no mini camps, no nothing, no time to get acclimatized with your new surroundings, coaches, teammates, everything. Goes there, first team to play in a home Super Bowl and win. 7th ring, and a lot of the credit will now be laid at his feet and not Bill Belichick's for what happened in New England. And that's probably why he went there. There was the rumours of the split early on and stuff like that there, or a little bit of division within the ranks in New England. But yeah, hell of a player. What an athlete. Definitely the best football player to ever play the game. Unbelievable. For Mahomes and the Chiefs, I think, what do you take away from it? You beat this team earlier in the year. I think you're still a good team. I think that your offensive line came apart a little bit. Big issue for the Chiefs last night was discipline. Give away a lot of penalties, a lot of silly penalties. Chris Jones gave away a silly penalty. A lot of silly, passing. They could do with a wee bit of help on their defense. Could the Chiefs? They could do with maybe a little bit of linebacker help, a little bit of corner help, to really strengthen out that defense. But you've got AFC Championship game, Super Bowl and won, and then this year got to the Super Bowl and lost. So there's nothing. It's not tear the house down as far as the Chiefs go. I think they're obviously still one of the very, very best that the NFL has to offer. And it's a bit of a blow for, the likes of maybe Mahomes' legacy. We tried to talk a little bit about that on the Skype call last week. But, he's got a long time left. And, they'll be back. They'll be back at it again. They're still a good team, still a lot of talent, still a few years left before this roster starts to age a little bit. And, they're a great side. It looked like a perfect storm. Offense didn't tick well. Defense weren't ticking, and even as I said, even as far as special teams weren't great. So yeah, unfortunate for the Chiefs, but they've been on a really good run, and I think they'll be back. Mahomes obviously was playing a little bit hurt too, so all to take into account. But yeah, great stuff. A little bit, as I said, a little bit disappointing as a spectacle from the Super Bowl because they were even talking pre-game about this being the best quarterback matchup in any Super Bowl ever, which very well possibly was. And then it just, by halfway through the third quarter, the writing was on the wall, you just Kansas aren't getting anything going, and the Bucs have this in full control, and Brady's not going to put the ball in harm's way, and it looks game over here. So, as a spectacle, was slightly a bit of a letdown. But, yeah, great performance from Tampa Bay and the Bucs, and the big man, Big Brady, will be back next year to cause more havoc. What we can now hope for is maybe somehow the Patriots get to the Super Bowl and the Bucs get back and we have the actual matchup. Does look like the Patriots are a long way away from that, to be fair, at the minute. But, yeah, just a quick podcast tonight. Maybe Vesty will have something out one of these days. Maybe coming home from work or something. He'll maybe give his thoughts on the game. Later on in the week, I need to actually get in contact with Big Crippy. He said that he's comfortable enough coming round, so we might do a little football one or maybe a couple of football ones this week, me and the big man. And we'll get in, and we've got some new equipment coming and stuff too, so that should be good. And hopefully we'll have like a better audio that's coming out on the video stuff that's going on to YouTube now too, because I've kind of semi-learned how to video edit, which has been fun and not a complete nightmare. So I've kind of learned that. I've learned a wee bit more about the audio stuff, and hopefully that's all going to be a little bit better now too. And hopefully the boys will be back in shortly, and we can get this fucking bitch back on the road proper and get back to our sort of nerd topic stuff and a bit of the banter that we have with the boys during the week. So, as I said, Dave will probably be in this week. We'll try and get something done some evening that he's off. Hopefully Vesty will be back shortly. And yeah, that was it. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video, all the rest. As I said, the audio will be better from sort of the middle of the week on. New laptop coming, and video editing and all that carry on. I've sort of semi-learned how to now put the sound that's recorded on the phone, get rid of that, and then use the sound that's we're using through our mixer on our podcast stuff, and then use it over and dub it over and stuff. So I'm working on it. But yeah, if you're on the YouTube, like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're on the podcast streaming sites, keep downloading, greatly appreciated. I know we're kind of a little bit all over the place at the minute, but we're trying to make do as best we can. And yeah, Podbean, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Hopefully as well, we'll be on Apple shortly too. Been doing a bit of stuff with that, carry on as well. And yeah, go and follow our Instagram page, the Irish Guys Podcast. It's where you'll know whatever's going on. You'll find out about it over on the Instagram page. We keep up to date with our stuff there, and it's the best way to know where videos are at, or if it's podcasts, the sites and stuff and all like that. Greatly appreciate it if you go and give us a follow over there, and spread the word and tell your mates if you're enjoying the content. As I said, it's usually a 3-man team in here at the minute for the NFL and that, but we'll be back shortly. That'll do me. Just a wee quick wrap up, as I said, on the Super Bowl, and I'll be back later on in the week. Thanks very much for tuning in, folks. That'll do me for now. Cheers.